Hello and welcome to the Inner Gamer On. My name is Brett Yanofsky.
I'm Devin Duree.
And I'm Austin Morales.
Get your hand out of my face.
I have a wristband on my arm. I won't take it off. I don't know why. It just won't go away. It's
So
there.
this discussion topic
is on the evolution of video game difficulty.
Ooh.
So we figured this would be an interesting discussion because a couple weeks ago, or actually last week, the SNES Classic came out, the Super Nintendo Classic.
sounds like a drug.
I know it
SNES
does.
Came out.
Yeah.
Came out.
I was
SNES.
playing these old games like Donkey Kong Country and Star Fox and things of that nature, and I realized something. I was like, man, they don't tell you how to play. You don't get shit at all. So I want to talk about how
It's so foreign now.
how this has changed over the years. So back in the day, games had just come out. They didn't really know what they were going to become, where they were going to go. So we've seen a lot of evolution of that over the years. And now, I mean, every game comes with tutorials. It comes with difficulty settings sometimes. Like there's all these things added in to cater to different types of players, right? So let's talk about the early games. Way back when.
I'd have to say
Tell
that.
me.
Well, I'd have to say that for
Pokemon.
old games, like I harken back to my old days of going to arcades.
Pong.
It's a
I'd
real
have
game.
to, I harken back to an arcade, and this is where difficulty came in. The games were difficult, and yes, you could learn how to play them, and yes, some of them came with a tutorial or a not tutorial, but the difficulty came in your lack of lives.
Yeah.
Your lives came from your funds. So,
That's true, yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, let's pick one that the three of us have played together before, the Simpsons arcade game.
yeah.
Oh,
How hard is that game?
the worst.
Very hard.
Ridiculous.
It wasn't until it was free to play all the way through we actually beat it. I'd never beat it in my life. I'd go to CC's all the time.
I would
was
have
like,
lost
why am I
so
just-
much money otherwise.
Yeah.
And I actually think a lot of like my early on video game skills came from my love of just playing arcade games. And I only was given a very moderate allowance to play arcade games, so I had to learn how to get good at playing video games quickly. Because I had to, I'm not just going to waste a quarter on some shit that I'm going to lose at really quickly. I'm going to get good at it so I can enjoy the full game.
You want to play those shooting games where you shoot the guys and they
Let me
don't
tell you
die?
let me tell you what sunk a lot of my quarters back in the day was Metal Slug, one of my
Oh,
absolutely favorite
man.
side-scrolling shooters. And I wasted a lot of money.
You know what's funny? I
On that
just
game.
realized we talk about microtransactions being a thing now. The arcade
Is the-
was the original microtransaction.
holy shit.
It's true.
You had to pay to win.
Mm-hmm. Had to pay to win.
Literally. It's
Pay to win.
crazy.
So now we can't bitch, huh?
We can, I guess. I guess not.
It was grandfathered in.
It was grandfathered in. But yeah, so I played Donkey Kong Country. Haven't played it in centuries. And
Damn.
Whole centuries.
yeah, probably not centuries, I guess, but you know.
Decade.
Way before the French Revolution. Continue.
Well, you know, yeah.
Go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I mean, the
Decades.
donkeys, man. Or
Oh,
not
decades.
donkeys.
They're donkeys, yes. Yes, they're fucking donkeys.
This podcast, what is
Happening
words?
tonight.
I don't understand anymore. Yes.
So,
Donkey
like,
Kong?
Yeah,
how long?
Donkey
Like,
Kong.
how? Like, okay, when you first got Donkey Kong Country,
Yeah. I never
Let me ask
actually
you this.
owned it.
you never did.
I never owned a Super Nintendo. I used to
slap
play it
you.
at friends' houses.
Okay, so here, my point with this, at least where I'm going with this is, like, when you played it, did you look at the instruction manual?
They had those things.
They did, actually. Surprisingly, they did.
That
I'm
was
kidding,
your
they do.
tutorial.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think about games that I played, or when I first got like my home console system, my first NES games you bought, yeah, you didn't have a tutorial. It was because on the way home of your mom buying the game for you and you driving home,
You were reading
you
the
were
instruction
cracking
manual.
that shit open and reading the
Yeah.
instruction manual, going, "Okay, got it."
Press A to jump. Press B to
No, hey,
not
and even
jump.
that. What's even? This is really going to date me. Every single ending, like the last 2 pages of any instruction manual out there, and people out there can attest to this, they had a notes page.
Oh, yeah.
Like the last 2
That's
pages
right.
of, like, if
That's
you think of
right.
like the original Legend of Zelda, the very first Legend of Zelda, you had like the last 2 pages were dedicated for notes. So if like you got lost, which everyone fucking did, you could take notes going, okay, to get through the magical forest, you go up, left, left, down, left, up, left, left, right, right, left, up, right. And then you have to kill 17,000 ghosts.
Remember when they started, they started taking the manuals out of the thing, and it was basically like, here's just advertisements for other games instead of actual manuals.
Yeah.
And now it's just
I
a
miss
license
that.
disclosure.
Yeah.
Don't burn this disc onto another disc.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
It is. No, I remember when it started getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
and smaller.
I really liked it. It was kind of a point of pride of just all the different video games I had where I actually was able to maintain the instruction manual in it. Like it was like a full set. Like that was the thing. It wasn't just the cartridge. It was everything. It was the box that it came in. It was the little sleeve that it could slide into, and the instruction manual that came along with it. Man, I loved that.
Anybody rid them from Blockbuster, and the thing would just be all fucked.
Oh, it was all
it's gross.
or that like Zelda had just dicks drawn all over it. I don't know, but
Never had that happen. I don't know where you're buying
You
from.
didn't shop at the video store out. I don't know. But I mean, going to another game that was very much like that, at least as far as difficulty goes, was if we go to the Super Nintendo, we had the very first Star Fox.
Yes.
Now, that was like one of the hardest games I had played in my adolescence up until like that point. Like I had gone through some Final Fantasies. I had played some Castlevanias. I mean, I had played a lot, but it was when I got to Star Fox that I was like, holy shit, like you are really testing my patience here. Because you had an instruction manual, but you also had your first tutorial where you could learn how to do all the maneuvers.
I did that tutorial. I had to play that tutorial in order to unlock Star Fox 2, and I couldn't play the flipping tutorial.
Yeah.
Because it was like
couldn't beat it.
I was barrel rolling and I couldn't move fast enough because it was so laggy.
You had to fly in formation. And you
Oh,
have the,
yeah.
you have the
No, that
three
was so
ships
bad.
And the silhouette of you supposed to be in there, and you're like, okay, let's do it, guys. And like, barrel roll. Oh, fuck. Barrel roll. Oh, fuck.
I feel like you
were
literally
always,
have
like,
to
2 steps
write the
behind.
buttons down to like
Well, not only
get
that,
the
and
right
then the game
stuff.
like mocks you, like, you have to sync along with your fighters. You're like, fuck you, game. I'm trying.
Do a barrel roll.
You do a barrel roll. So,
Stupid rabbit. Tricks are for kids.
But I mean, going back to it, like games like this is where like I think this is a testament to the industry aging with us, is because we had to get better with the industry, and the industry had to get better with us. So we started to see more forgiving games that came out with more tutorials.
Would you say that they just kind of? I feel like they just want to jump in and play. Like we don't have the attention span to be like, okay, let's see.
Well, and I think that there was just
B.
I think there was a transition between arcade to a home entertainment system.
True.
And
True.
Because arcades,
We got standards now.
yeah. Well, and again, you go back to the arcade. There was the tutorial was whatever was on the fucking control pad in front of you. It could tell you like, okay, this button shoots, this button's kick, this button's jump, whatever. Here's your joystick. Here's how you do shit. And there's maybe
It's like nearly falling off.
yeah. Well, you may like depending if it was a fighter game, it would may show you some move sets down there at the bottom, but it wasn't a whole lot. And you just dove in and played.
Right.
And I think there was a transition from that going to the home system where they tried to just basically make it the same way, and we couldn't have that.
Well, it's kind of like with fighter games back in the arcade days. You would have here's your like high kick, low kick, medium kick, or whatever. They had like the different levels of punch or kick that you had, and then the combos you basically figured out on your own. Like there wasn't a move list you could open up in your menu like you have with Injustice.
You
and
could
stuff
just hit
now.
pause and just go look up the fucking move list.
Yeah. So that's changed quite a bit.
A
It's
lot.
crazy.
I think one thing we can speak on is the internet has made getting through games a lot easier than before. I remember when I have to ask friends, like, dude, I can't beat this. It's like, what? You can't beat this? You just got to do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the fuck?
I actually remember getting grounded because I got lost in the Lost Woods in Zelda, and I called Nintendo Power's hotline to get through it. And my mom was pissed when there was a bit of a bill.
The fact that there was a Nintendo Power hotline just baffles me.
Shut up.
No, I think it's just funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So have you guys ever seen the show The Goldbergs or whatever on Hulu.
I never watched it, but I know of it.
I've never seen it, but I was watching a little bit of it this weekend. It was funny because there's the show's about this kid who narrates his family, and it's actually based on real life events that happened in the 80s with the creator of the show's family. So he has like home footage of these actual characters that he's showing in here. They were actually real people, and these are actual stories of what happened in his life. But anyway, the kid in the show was playing the original NES. He was playing the first Legend of Zelda. And, you know, like back then, there was no such thing as a save or whatever. It was just, you had to play the game and leave that shit on. So he was
You have time.
Yeah.
he was at the very last part. He was about to finish the game, and he was like, oh my gosh, I've been playing this for 6 months. I gotta stop. I gotta get my camera. I gotta record this moment. It's gonna be so good. So he puts his controller down. He like tells his mom, like, don't let anybody come in here, and he runs to go grab his camera. And his brother comes in and is like, ooh, what's this? And he sits down, and he's been having like a lucky streak, supposedly, like lucky. So he sits down, he moves the character forward. Congratulations, you just won Zelda. And it shows up, and the kid comes running back out, and he's like, what did you do? My life, I hate you, you're dead to me. It was the funniest thing ever.
I have a story like that.
Yeah.
Star Fox 64. That Star Fox behind
right
you.
there.
I was having the worst time with it. I finally got to Andros at the very end. Now, I don't know how many times I played this, but I remember I was in my parents' bedroom playing on their TV. And when I won, I jumped on that bed and I was like, yeah. My dad was on an important phone call. My mom comes running and she's like, shut up. It was like, I've never been happier, like more happy in a game. Because I never thought I was going to ever beat this game.
That game was
like,
hard.
Like,
That game was
as
really
a kid,
hard.
you know, you don't, you play these things and they're fun, but at a
They
certain
were
point,
major achievements to beat some of these
Yes,
games.
yes.
They were milestones to beat them. Like some of the Mega Man 2. Amazing game. Super hard. Did you make it to the very end?
So what do you think changed that? Do you think it's that like the enjoyment and excitement of finishing a game, I feel like isn't as much of an achievement as it used to be? Do you think it's that games have gotten easier, or do you think it's that there's so many choices for us that we're like, okay, I'm done, let's move on to the next one?
Well, I think expectations obviously have changed over time, and then you have the invention of the smartphone and the internet, and so attention spans have changed. So now we see all the achievements, and then you can get, you know, on PlayStation you get that platinum thing, which I don't understand what that means. Why people go for these achievement things?
Yeah, platinum that shit, man.
I mean, achievements,
Platinum trophy, man.
achievements are in everything. Like even on Steam, like people trade achievement cards. Like what the?
Not
Not to get off on a tangent.
No, I think there's something to that, because I think the expectation of what it was to play a video game has substantially changed.
Right.
Because we've aged with this industry. So at first it was just a testament to, you're playing an Italian plumber save the princess from the Koopa,
Yeah.
you know, and we've aged with that. So now
what a way to pitch a game. I mean,
you're an Italian plumber and you're saving some broad from a giant lizard dude. I don't know. Is it good? You want money for that?
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I do. And
Kids will love this.
Kids
Sorry,
will love
I'm
it.
sorry.
We've changed now because we've aged with this industry, so it morphed into you're a band of animals who fly these amazing starships and take down an evil warlord, Andros evildoer. And then we've progressed forward, and now it's actually to the point where you're saving the universe from impending doom with Final Fantasy, and you're playing with a band of
Right.
troubled heroes, or even going so far as now we're to the point we're at now, where we have these amazing cinematic narratives being told in these amazing stories like Uncharted Drake's Fortune, and they're wildly different games with wildly different difficulties in them. I think that's because we've progressed along with the industry, and kind of, as you said, there's a lot of factors in there, whether it's the introduction of the internet or it's the technological advances that we've just made in general. They have just made it to where what is defined as difficulty is also changed.
So I know we've had a story. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, we had stories in these games, right? But would you say like they're like I mean, I would say Zelda, yeah, it's probably like a big part of that as a story, but it's kind of like just there to play a game in the sense. And now, like, I feel like we've come to the point with all the cinematics. It's like, let's not have this huge barrier of entry like Dark Souls, but more like Hellblade, where you can just kind of jump in and like follow this character and be moved, like.
Yeah,
not having the difficulty affect
like
your experience of the story.
I mean, walking simulators where you're just literally watching a story, like in was it Everyone's Gone to Rapture?
Yeah,
that's different.
I mean, that's how I play games a lot. Is if I want to play the game for the story, I'll put on easier, regular, or whatever, so I can just not be challenged and die a billion times and just finish it. But I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about that, Devin? Because you're a difficulty fan.
Yeah.
So
we haven't even touched Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I know.
What's going on?
We don't have to yet.
No, we don't. We've talked about that enough. Yeah. It's done.
I mean,
it's dead to me.
I personally am a difficulty junkie when it comes to video games, and I think a part of that is because I do like I hate even using the phrase, but I love the achievement aspect of it. I don't necessarily hunt for the achievement banner when I play video games, but I do play difficult games for the satisfaction of knowing that my skill level is rewarded for the effort that I put in.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, in the God of War series, one of my absolute favorite video game franchises of all time, I played that thing on God mode or Titan mode, depending on which game you play. I've played it on the hardest setting possible just because I loved playing Kratos in an incredibly difficult setting with limited health orbs around. I loved it. I relished that shit.
Did you get through
that?
Yeah.
Question. When you play a game like that,
took me a long time.
Yeah.
When you play a game like that, is that your first playthrough playing that level of difficulty, or do you start it like easy, like regular or whatever, just to get through the story and understand the gameplay, and then you go back and put it on the hard mode?
I'm gonna sound like a narcissist. I put it on hard.
Right at the beginning?
On any game I can, I will always play it on hard. The first time I played Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham Asylum, I put it on hard difficulty because I did not want the telegraphed thing that the bad guys would have when they were about to hit you. I did not want that. I wanted to be able to time it myself just by visual cues.
Have you ever done the thing where you're playing it? Because remember, so there used to be a time where I would play a game and I'd be like, man, this game is so easy. And then I get to a point where it got harder and harder and harder. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't beat this. I'm so mad. I would just play it and play it and play it. Finally, I get past it or whatever. But then they added this thing where you can change your difficulty on the fly.
Yeah.
And
Dante, Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry, God of War. I'm sure there are some others. Some of the Metal Gear Solid game. There are just some times when, like, if you die a certain number of times, the game's gonna go.
You suck. Let's turn it down.
You need some help.
Mario Rabbids does that. I'm playing that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, they're like, oh, do you want to do it easy mode? I'm like,
oh,
no,
yeah.
I'm not doing easy mode. This is Mario.
Feel insulted.
This is Mario Rabbids. Like, I'm not going to let this game defeat me.
Is easy mode really isn't much easier.
What? It's like, yeah, you get like 50% back of your health. I got in where like Mario had like 10 health and I worked it around. It's crazy. But I will not let that game defeat me.
That's funny.
Other games, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to do it easy mode. I just want to get through this.
Right.
I mean, the whole point is.
So do you start on normal difficulty, or do you start the game from easy and then move your way up?
I start normal, and then if it gets out of control, then I'll drop it down to easy if I have to. I'd never play a game on hard or higher.
I think one of my favorite like translations of this is when I was playing a PC when I was a young teenage boy. There was the Aliens versus Predator 2.
Yeah.
And you could play it on easy, in which case the motion tracker was like a full 360, or you could put it on like on hard, and it was just a tiny little wedge, and you'd have to turn to see where the aliens were at. I fucking loved that, man.
Yeah, I like that when the difficulty is more complicated than there's just enemies aim less better and stuff like that. Like where they add some additional layers to the difficulty settings. I think that's always interesting. There's not many that do that, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's just usually, the AI is dumber. That's usually what happens.
Well, that's actually a good transition. let's actually dive in a little bit further into this whole topic of difficulty and what type of games should have difficulty settings.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of games out there that have either incredibly smart AI,
right.
or AI where you can literally just plant yourself at the end of a hallway with your gun facing out there just going, well, as soon as a head just pops by, this will be it. Brap-a-pap, brap-a-pap. I win.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny should have a difficulty setting?
No.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Well, it does have a difficulty
That's
setting.
what you do.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Well, it's interesting to me thinking about, before we get into that conversation, like the ones that do and don't, because I mean, you look at Call of Duty and all these shooter games, 9 times out of 10 they're going to have a difficulty setting of some kind.
Yep.
Like Wolfenstein and stuff like that, they have that. But then
Easy
like
mode,
Rockstar doesn't
veteran
put
mode.
difficulty, which I think is interesting. Like Grand Theft Auto doesn't have a difficulty setting. Red Dead Redemption doesn't have a difficulty setting. And that's just something that's like a staple in their games, that they don't put difficulty in there.
Right.
And those are games that I typically would expect to see difficulty in them, but they don't. But I've never felt like those games are too hard.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which is good.
Yeah. Well, I think the difficulty setting in games like those, especially in like any kind of sandbox game, the difficulty is set by the player. Because in a game like Grand Theft Auto, or in a game like Infamous, even, like you can go and engage as many enemies as you want, right? The world is your oyster. So if you want to go and get 5 stars immediately, by all means, kill a cop, steal a car, take a helicopter, awesome, 5 stars. You got the army after you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
While other games, obviously, it's in the setting. You can start Wolfenstein on little tiny babby mode, in which case all the demons are basically going to be knocked over by wet noodles.
Yeah. I guess that's true, because if you look at gosh, I just lost it. I had it in my head, and there's a game that's just like that. Oh, Dishonored.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Dishonored is that way, where there might be a difficulty setting in there. I think there might be, actually.
I think
but
there
it's also
is, but I also
set by the environment. Like
by the environment.
You can go in there and
guns
just
blazing,
go
and literally
crazy.
kill everyone.
Yeah.
We can sneak in.
Yeah. Or like even Far Cry is that way. You know,
So
you
with,
can,
with those kind of games, I feel like there is kind of a set mode. Like, I think at least the games I play like that, the developers have a set like this. This is the most opportune way to actually play the game.
right.
But here, if you want to do this, you can do it. Or here, if you want to do this, it's available.
You think Bethesda kind of follows that module as well with the Skyrim series?
Oh,
or
yeah.
the Fallout.
No, those are their you go anyway. Not with it, but with Dishonored, I feel like there is like a set one to actually do that.
That's fair.
Skyrim's just so open.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, you could be the knight, and have all the big armor and blow through that game in like no time.
Absolutely. Kill 2 dragons, dragon armor. Done.
But that's what you doing, bro.
Dragon armor.
So basically, I think what we've kind of accomplished here is that games that should have difficulty settings are games that are fairly linear in their structure or planned in their structure, kind of, whereas these more open choice-based games, the difficulty is determined by player choice in a way.
The player can set the pace of the difficulty based on their play style of the said open world.
Right.
And I think other games that need to have a difficulty setting are ones that we need to like really address. No offense to anybody in the indie game world at all, or the indie developer community, but that one is one that I feel like we are missing a difficulty setting. And I'm going to use this example, Fury. That was one of the free-to-play download games for
So
the PlayStation
hard.
4. Huh?
So hard.
I love it, though.
Oh, I know you do.
I mean,
'Cause
I
it's
know
so
I love it.
hard.
But I can see how people would be like, can we get an easy mode, please? Because I can't get past the first boss. I made it all the way through, even to the secret boss at the very end. And I myself was like, dude, I did this one not even out of a sense of fun or accomplishment. I just did it because I was stubborn. I was like, you're not going to fucking beat me, game. You are not.
He's that kind of gamer.
Dude, it was bad. real mad. I got real mad at you, Fury.
Was it a Dark Knight? Whiskey
it was
in your
bad.
hand.
Oh, it was bad. Oh, it was real bad.
Were you
Sorry,
furious?
Move on to your next talking point before I bash you in the head with this Yeti. That's your difficulty setting.
So what kind of games should let a player fail? Let's talk about that for a little bit. Let's address the what is it? The whale in there. What's that phrase?
The elephant?
The elephant.
Let's address the whale in the room.
It's also big.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, let's address the elephant in the room. The
by
obvious
not wait,
choice.
but by not addressing it. So let's talk about something else.
The obvious choice
Nice.
for when you should let a player fail is games that come from software.
but
Demons.
why?
Demon
I'm
Souls,
curious.
Dark Souls, and Bloodborne. The reason is it, at least from this kind of game's standpoint, this is the kind of game where you have heard me say the phrase, it is difficult but fair. But what does that mean? So
It means it's a piece of shit.
don't be mad because you can't fucking play it.
Travis would agree with you.
He can't fucking play it either because
Yeah,
they don't
he can't.
listen to
Thanks, Travis.
anything that I say. I'm literally telling you how to play it. And you're just like, fuck you. I know what I'm doing. I'm a veteran gamer.
I just gotta parry this guy, but the boss is over there, Brett. But I
learn
gotta
how to
practice
parry.
parry.
Where's your veteran gamer card? Tearing it up.
tearing it up. Games like this, games like Dark Souls, yes, they're extremely difficult, but they are also fair because you're given a small amount of tutorial at the beginning, so you get to see like all your basic controls. The game doesn't punish you for doing poorly. It invites you to do better by learning.
Don't you wish school did that?
You didn't give an A. You didn't get an F. I just gave you another chance to get an A. Or in my case, D, which is for diploma, and that's good enough for me.
When you put it that way, teacher, I'll be back tomorrow.
But do you understand my point, though? Like that,
yeah.
Dark Souls is a hard game. I know you didn't like it, but at the same time, it invited you to learn from your mistakes. You chose not to listen.
So
I'm not listening.
After you introduced me to
Just
this
didn't retain.
Yeah, you actually had a good revelation when playing
franchise,
Bloodborne.
Yes, yeah. All I do is watch you once, and I got it.
Yeah.
Mostly. And then I figured out the rest. Anyway,
Oh yeah, me too.
but like games like Kingdom New Lands is just like that.
Yeah.
Like they're like, hey, you're on this island. Hey, you're a king or a queen. Hey, here's money. Good luck. Do it. So like I had played that game like 5 times before I really got into the groove of like, I get it now. Like do this. This is how I get money. And it's just like, okay, all right, I like this. I really do. Before Dark Souls, no.
That's the kind of things that I love about games like this. And there's a lot of them that you can even kind of correlate to. Even some of the Final Fantasy franchises that have done this, where they don't have a difficulty setting, but rather than make it a difficulty setting, they teach the player through unique ways of how to learn how to play the game, how to play their game.
right.
Perfect example, Project Octopath Traveler. What a way to learn a new combat system than to show you all the different unique ways that you can break down an enemy's defense and then hurt him with an amazing attack that you use to save up your boost and then time out your buff and attacks. And that was fucking brilliant to me. All of that had to be learned. All of that took me numerous times of seeing a game over screen going, yeah, I need to do that differently.
Yeah.
I need to do that a lot differently.
So would you say that we've kind of gotten too whiny as gamers? That we're trying to get these people to cater to us so much that, before I played Bloodborne, I didn't realize how amazing it was to win something so difficult like I did as a child. But now I expect like, Call of Duty, Halo, any kind of game, Battlefront, Battlefield. I'm gonna pick up this controller, bam, I got it.
Yeah,
In about
I'm
a few matches.
I'm gonna fast track my way to the end.
Right, a few matches, I got this. I'm gonna be really badass in multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to think about it.
Hell,
Right.
Dark Souls will introduce you to great cool, really amazing fucking weapons the entire time you're playing it. All of them start at level 1. You have to level up those weapons in order for them to be good.
Right.
And you have to learn how to use those weapons. You're not going to get to the end just because you're playing it. Period.
Wow.
So are we whiny gamers now? Like, what is our generations become?
I don't want to say we become whiny. I would say that we are being conditioned in different ways now. The industry is just this huge swirling pool right now of all these different genres. Yeah, we have walking simulators and definitely these narrative storytellings, softer role-playing games as opposed to like some really difficult role-playing games. There's just a myriad out there, and we just have to openly identify what they are because they're going to have different difficulties in them. One I'm kind of interested of is the new Xbox title that's going to come out next year, Anthem. Is everybody just going to be a giant powerhouse in power armor, walking around and shooting power missiles into power monster faces? Or
looks like that.
It looks like that. So I don't necessarily know if that's going to make it a difficult game.
Right.
But I know that it may not. While it may not be a difficult game, maybe it's still going to be a very cool, fun multiplayer narrative experience.
Right.
And I shouldn't expect difficulty there.
Until you do a dungeon or raid something.
Right. While as opposed to playing Darkest Dungeon for the first time, I had to walk in knowing I'm going to die a lot. My heroes are going to die a lot. And they did.
That's true. Sounds miserable. Sounds miserable.
You don't look like you like that at all.
No.
Why don't you like difficult games?
He's a casual gamer.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you don't have a lot of time, so you kind of want to get.
I think that's what it is.
You want to
It's
get
like,
your kicks.
I want that sense of progression happening in the short amount of time that I have to play this game. So if
Destiny
I'm not
was
getting
made
that,
for you. Destiny 2.
it kind of is that way a little bit.
It really
Yeah,
was.
it's like, hey, I got some new armor. Oh, I got 2 more power level numbers here.
Right.
It's that helps a lot. But I think that's what it is that with the short amount of time that's available, I want to feel like I've accomplished something in this game. And if I'm sitting there and spending those 2 hours playing the exact same level over and over again, and then I beat it, yes, I accomplished something, but I made like 2% progress in the actual game itself.
So for you feel like you wasted all that time.
Yes. I hate it.
Interesting.
I hate
I
it.
love that. Days when I've actually had to come back to a Dark Souls boss or whatever kind of hard boss, any of them really. Hell, is going to really not be a good thing for me to brag about, but I'm going to brag about it anyways. So the Dark Souls 3 on the hardest setting, the boss Ares took me almost 2 weeks to beat.
Okay.
I almost failed a class in college because I did not attend enough. Shut up. And while difficult, by the time I beat him, was like the most euphoric wave of just absolute victory. Being just like, I woke up every one of my roommates just like, I fucking did it!
Forget that diploma I just got. I just beat fucking Ares.
I have a BFA. Get off me.
So that just sounded like Cartman when he went to Casa Bonita. He's like, "So pissed, so pissed."
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. That was
Are
my
you done? Yes.
Beating him was my sopapilla. Beating Hades. That's who it was. Hades. Beating Hades on God of War 3 on the hardest setting was absolutely
You don't remember
awful.
his name, and you spent all that time.
Same thing. Ares, Hades.
Wow.
They're pretty goddamn
That's
close.
crazy.
They hate everything.
Crazy. Anyway, I think we need to close this out.
Yeah.
Because that was discussion about video game difficulty, and that was pretty good. And we need to wrap up this podcast so people can go about their day and do other things.
Let's do it.
Go play hard games themselves.
Go play hard games themselves. So that is going to conclude our discussion topic this week. If there is something that you want to hear us talk about, please let us know at hello@theinnergamer.net. Also, don't forget to check out our live recording of this segment every Thursday. Sorry, I'm thinking we're podcast, but this is something else.
Great, Andrew.
This is his difficulty.
I'm working on it. This is my difficulty.
This is his difficulty level.
Reading is
Turn
challenging.
Yeah.
Reading is challenging.
Turn it down a little bit.
What?
Turn it down a little bit.
Turn what down?
Difficulty.
Damn, that dial is
Don't forget.
Large dial.
It is. It
Large,
is.
awkward
I
dial.
went from like mega expert to like sorry. Like this shouldn't even be. Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Anyway.
Don't forget to
Absolutely.
check out our live recording of this segment. I'm sorry that you have to watch this thing, but it's on Thursday at youtube.com/theinnergamer. Also, if you're on YouTube, don't forget to check us out next Tuesday, where we are going to have another podcast. And you can also watch the full episode at theinnergamer.net. So that's going to be
Watching
pretty
this.
awesome.
Or listen.
Listen to the full episode.
If you're
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Listen,
go down
watch,
there.
read,
Hit the like button.
follow, like.
Come over there to the top up there and hit subscribe.
That's over here.
Or it's over there.
It's on my head.
It's over his head. Hit subscribe over his head.
Oh, we have it on the screen right here. Look at that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Behind the scenes.
Kidding. Yeah, so if you guys like this video, like it, subscribe, follow us, do all those wonderful things. We would love for you to share it with your friends and family.
Like,
And
subscribe, and share.